your value will end up. So let's talk about the process of M&A. How to actually sell your business. So I would actually say there's three, 1, 2, 3. So 3 different stages of selling your business. The first one is preparation, so getting your company ready. The second one is marketing, so really finding a good partner. And then once you found that partner, just closing the deal. And then after you close the deal, you move into integration, which is post-sale. So those are the 3 or 4 major stages. And typically speaking, preparing, it really depends upon how much work is required to fix your house or to get you ready. You need to get your accounts ready. You need to get your taxes sorted out. You need to make sure that your employee contracts are correct. You need to make sure that your custom contracts are all clean. You need to make sure that your warehouse is in working order. You need to make sure that all of your legal contracts are ready. So that might take a little bit of time to clean up, or if you're already ready, then it may take as little as a month to get ready to sell. So that's something we cannot control, but I think you have a good idea yourself as to how much time it will take to clean up. And this is where accountants and lawyers, your own accountant or your own legal firm, will be able to help you to prepare. The other part of, so that's what I say, get your house in order. And then the next part is crafting the investment story. So once you've got your house in order, in parallel with that, you'll be working with people like ourselves to come up with a good investment story. So you may be good at selling your own products, but you may not be good at selling yourself. So what we will do is come and look at your business and say, look, this is really interesting. You've got really strong strategic position in Thailand or in Singapore, or you've got really strong margins, or you've got this, or you've got a good logistics service or something. And we'll try and find the good points, but we'll also point out the bad points, which we've got to kind of cover up, or at least be prepared to answer those questions. So making sure that you understand your own business is really, really important part of the preparation phase. And then once we've agreed a way of presenting the business to investors, we move into the marketing phase. And this is the dating phase. This is the painful phase where you actually have to go out and start speaking to people, and then they're going to be asking you all sorts of questions, and you've got to sell yourself, and then they're going to be saying, why did you do this, and why did you do that? So, but some investors are very encouraging. Some investors will say, wow, I love your business, this is great, especially if you're doing really well and they want what you have. They'll be very friendly and they'll be saying, this is fantastic. So I think this is it's a good discovery phase, and it may take as little as 3 months. It may take longer, because this is where it's up to you to decide who you want to sell to. And it could be, if you want to do something quickly, maybe 3 months. If you're in no particular hurry, it could take 6 months, could take 12 months. You may end up not selling at the end of the day. It really depends upon you. And then once you've actually found a good partner, hopefully you've got an offer, and then you've got you've come to some kind of agreement in terms of the price and the terms and conditions of selling. Then you move into this phase here, which is this negotiation phase, where you hammer out the price, the structure to the price, the valuation, the structure in terms of how much am I going to pay up front, how much am I going to pay at the end, how much am I going to pay or keep in an escrow account so that you can fulfill some obligations first, clean up your house, and then I'll give you the rest later on. This is all part of the negotiations. And those are also the roles as well. Am I going to stay? I'm the CEO. Are you as the CEO going to stay? How long are you going to stay for? 6 months, 3 months, 12 months? How much skin in the game will you have after you sell the company? This is something which you need to negotiate with the buyer. And then this is something, of course, we will help you to do. And then finally, you've got due diligence. So due diligence is basically the process of checking the buyer, checking what you've said is true. So you said that you've got this amount of revenue and this amount of profit, they'll check that. You said you've got a factory in Jakarta, which is 10,000 hectares, they'll check that. You said you paid all of your taxes to date, they'll check that. So it's all about checking what you've said. And if you've basically said everything is true and you can prove it, then due diligence is not very painful. But if there are skeletons in the cupboard, then the best thing is to be upfront about that so that they don't discover that after you've spent 6 months negotiating, and then they say, oh, you didn't tell me that you didn't pay taxes for the last 2 years, and then everything falls apart. So there are people who can help you, and there are people in this room, I think, who can help you on the financial due diligence. Typically that would be an accounting firm who would help you prepare your accounts. Legal due diligence would be a legal firm. And then commercial, I think BCG as well offer some assistance there, and also technical due diligence. You might, if you're a tech company, you might need to have third-party tech people to help you on preparing for the technical due diligence. Due diligence is typically quite quick because due diligence uses third-party advisors, and they're very expensive. So typically it would take a month, and you whip them and say, produce your report within 2 weeks, and that's an easy system. I'll try very hard. And our job as a financial advisor is to help you get the best value out of your advisors. Sorry about that, BCG, but we'll be negotiating against them to get their price down. And then finally you have closing. Closing would typically take 2 weeks to 4 weeks. Again, lawyers are very expensive. So we try and get this done very quickly. But that's the fun part. The closing of this is the fun part. The hard part is the preparation and the marketing part, and then the fun part is the closing. And then the really hard part is the litigation after that. Once you've sold your business, how do you ensure a smooth handover to the new owner? Good. This is the team. So typically you are the dark blue here, the dark blue here, and then the third parties are the light blue. And then this dotted line are the core team. So typically you have a CEO and the CFO, and then the COO, if you have a COO or business head, for example. The CEO is typically the guy who would say, we're going to sell the company, and he's the guy who negotiates with all of the other stakeholders of the business, your shareholders, your customers, your suppliers, your employees. He's the guy who really has to answer for the strategy. Your CFO, if you have one, or your finance director, would be the guy who typically represents you in your discussions on the valuation, on the negotiations of the price, etc. Depends upon the level of the CFO. If you've got a proper high-level CFO, he can probably do it by himself. If you're smaller and you only have a finance director or finance manager, you may require the advice of an investment banker to help you along to make sure you can do that. And then typically your business heads or your managing director of sales or your head of Thailand or your head of Singapore, these guys won't get involved in the M&A until the due diligence process, when people are starting to say, do you really have a good sales team in Thailand, and then you have to introduce them to your team. You will be assisted by your investment bankers here, and these are the guys who basically help you prepare, help you come up with the marketing documents, and then start introducing you to investors. And then they will work with the lawyers and the accountants and any other service providers who decide to. A small deal may require, not all of these people, but a big deal, $100 million deal, or even a $50 million deal,